this idea that you, this idea that I'm Brett Cooper, this idea that you need to see yourself in everything around you, it is selfish, it is egotistical. I'm fed up. Like, why do you think that's not new? This is what every ad looks like these days. Like, why do you think you're so special? That's not rude.
Somebody should probably tell her that Ben Shapiro hired her because she looks like his sister, I think. I don't know, but Brett, you should probably go ahead and, look out! Hello and welcome back to the show known as Look Up, where I, aronmsound, in the third person, interject himself into conversations that not a single person invited me into. And good for them, though not good for them, because now I'm here to optimistically wipe them off the map and take the conversation somewhere else. Most importantly, to help illuminate the idea that there is more than one way in every situation. In fact, there's probably a billion ways to slew any idea, and most of the time it's not going to be the bigoted one or the limited one or the idea that doesn't take you somewhere else. And first and foremost, let me just say that representation does matter. If you have not seen someone like you doing something advantageous or better, you wouldn't think that you could do it. And that's part of the problem in our dating manosphere and all of that stuff. And as well as for women, because they haven't seen somebody that they can look up to. There's a whole list of them. There's a whole list of things. But here, what we're here talking about today is our friend Brett. And Brett is, Brett's young. Brett's young. And I've come to find out a lot of things. She's 21. She was an actress. And I think they must have, measured her eyebrows against her boss's, Ben Shapiro's. Now, say what you will about them all. Their production, so nice. It's so nice over there. They got so much money to throw around. But then they went ahead and said, you know what? We need somebody who can influence the kids, who's generally, not too good looking. So she's not, scary to some. And she's got a right-wing experience. And she has no idea what she's talking about because she literally grew up in a closed environment. And she'll sell anything we tell her and agree with. So give her a bunch of money so she never has to grow and she can just be comfortable feeling that what she's doing is right. And we'll put her on the air daily and she'll spew a whole bunch of childish nonsense that'll seem logical to her because, well, hey, she has no experience outside of that, and everything in her world is telling her that what she thinks is true. Because, of course, money's the only thing that proves that what you think is true, right? Huh? No? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to leave these pictures of her up on the screen because they're not her. These aren't her. If you didn't know, this is Ben Shapiro's sister. Brett, she's on Brett Shapiro's show. Creepy for you yet? Oh, yeah. Her ideals get even creepier. So let's see what she has to say. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the bass into this, shall we?
So Gucci has rolled out a new fragrance and an ad to go along with it, and apparently they have not learned from designer brands who have...
What were they? Yeah, uncomfortable face. What were they supposed to frickin' learn there, Brett? Were they supposed to learn that the people who buy their cologne is, all over the place as far as what they identify as? That those are the people with the money spending on the colognes and the perfumes? Is that what they need to learn? Brett, your limited idea of what the world is about is so limited, I could fit it right here. And that's very small. I'm getting close to the camera. Let me pull it back. Yeah, let me do it.
Recently made major advertising missteps.
Oh, shit. Wait, hold on a second. She talking about Balenciaga, whose advertising went out directly cataloged to their people who can afford to get into Balenciaga. Have you ever been in Balenciaga? $800 for a shirt? I found a $4,000 little bag in there. I really wanted it. It was so awesome. It was like so futuristic. And I would have definitely been the only one with it. But $4,000! No. I'd rather get I could literally build a whole new backpack studio out of that. So, no, thank you. Bye. So, whatever you may say, I actually enjoy the weird and the odd in the Maplethorpe. And if you don't know who Maplethorpe is, go look at the pictures. And we've already had this discussion, folks, when I was a little kid in the 80s. And they already had that discussion before in the 60s. And then they already had that discussion before in the 20s. And then they already had that discussion. Listen, this is an ongoing discussion that's been going on since the beginning of time. So when you hear a youngster say, oh, this is why we always see it. Well, first off, this has been a discussion since long before you were born. And in the case of the uptight citizens brigade of Karenopolis, well, hey, we know you're afraid because things are changing and it makes you feel uncomfortable. And then you have to learn something when you get uncomfortable and stretched out. Yeah. That's not a liberal thing. That's not a Republican right-wing thing. That's not a middle ground thing. That's just a human thing. Okay? So if you happen to be stretched out and you're uncomfortable, it happens. Well, you're growing, and that's a good thing. So if you feel uncomfortable and then you go, ew, icky, you're not ready to grow. You're still a little kid, and that's fine. Eat your macaroni and cheese and stay away from the veggies. But I'm going to call you out and be like, hey, your limitation, that's a prison you're selling people. And I won't deal with that prison because I got positivity to sell. So you want to stand in your prison and throw poopy things at your neighbor and be tribal? That's fine. I'm going to be out here rescuing and evacuating the rest of mankind from that prison and telling them the truth, which is you don't have to live in one way or the other. You can be who you want and still succeed in life because there's more of us in the normies than there are of them in the exceptionalist elite. I'd say we're all elite, but that would make us none of us elite. So I'm going to just say we're all normies, and we should be proud. We should be excited. We should be living life. But when we aren't, we're going right along with the plan. Now, if you're lonely, if you're separated from people, if you're off in your corner, and you don't know how to get out, Uncle Aaron's here for you. I'm going to say, look, you're likely a great person, and you just haven't found that moment. You haven't found that outlet. And if people have been mean to you, well, you're in the wrong area. There's somewhere for you, and you just haven't found it yet. And it's hard, and life is hard. Nothing is easy for a single person. And any person that you see is getting it easy, oh, trust me, when they fall in absolutely fantastic ways. And I'm assured that our friend here, Ms. Brett, oh, she's going to hit 32, and she's going to hit a wall, and we're going to watch her. Yeah. Now, the only reason why I celebrate a downfall is because she'll get a great amount of learning out of that. And I can recommend the roller coaster of life for any single human because it's how we stretch and grow and then break free from those prisons that we build for ourselves that are sold to us through the media, the magazines, the YouTubes. If anybody tells you that there's only one way, they're lying. They're lying. Yeah. Because there's as many ways as there are people. There's somebody for everybody. You just haven't met them yet. Maybe you need to explore. Maybe you need to go elsewhere. Maybe there's many people for you. Each their own is more than just a statement. So what else is bothering me about what Britt is saying here, huh?
Like, why do you think you're so special? Like, why do you think you're so special?
I don't know.
This idea that you need to see yourself and everything around you, it is selfish, it is egotistical. I'm fed up. Like, why do you think you're so special? That's not new. This is what every ad looks like these days. Like for the past 5 years. Itsy. The new thing is the polyamorous trans-inclusive trio.
Which is
I'm
what
Brett
she's
Cooper.
really concerned
Gucci
about.
has rolled out a new fragrance and an ad to go along with it, and apparently they have not learned from designer brands who have recently made major advertising missteps.
She's talking about Balenci.
Here we go again.
Balenciaga, we have not forgotten. Apparently
did.
Gucci has, and they're still making ridiculous decisions, but we, remember, and we're going to talk about that today. But before we do, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a comment section or off-the-clock episode. All right, so Gucci just released this ad a couple of days ago, and it is starring 3 high-profile celebrities, one of whom
Which makes you
is the
excited, I can
person
tell.
formerly known as Ellen Page.
Which, by the way, this little bit of disgusting mean girl 21-year-old, you know, maybe that makes sense in your little high school mind. I know you went to college, but you probably just basically continued high school then. And that's what you're behaving like, which is even crazier because you've got so much reinforcement telling you that what you believe is correct and you're wrong. And I say you're wrong because you are happy to mock someone who went through something you can't possibly imagine. No matter what you feel about it personally, yes, it doesn't apply to you, but you shouldn't apply what you feel applies to you to others because you're not them. It's very clear, based off of everything that I've looked into about you and everything I've read about you, that you are a privileged child who was given a lot of money because of your acting roles and allowed to keep that money and didn't have to pay for yourself until just now. Which is something most of us in the world don't get to do, privileged girl. So you don't even realize how privileged you are. But let's go back to this. You happen to be cis norm. And that's, life is easy and you're attractive. So you've got pretty privilege, which that's a very real thing. Believe you me, people like me have to work 5 times as hard. But once you figure out your thing, let me tell you something. That 5 times as hard pays off 5 times as much. Because you also, if you believe in yourself like that she does, well, the whole world is possible. And sometimes that does take a matter of delusion. But just an ounce of it so you can wipe away the thoughts of doubt. Because you have to be able to do that. You have to say to yourself, I can do this because the protons organize for you. They understand you're observing them. And they know that once you look at them in a certain way, they'll reform to match your ideas. And the more people you have matching those ideas, the more they form into those ideas, because that's how reality works. It's local. Go ahead and look at the video on life being a simulation, or on the double slit theory, or any of that stuff. I mean, it's all based in quantum physics, and that's the real science. And there may be some variables, but no matter what you may personally believe religiously, it doesn't really matter, because the universe is going to do what it's going to do. And this is one of the funny things about this person. She would be so afraid and fearful and mock differences between people. And I gotta say, Elliot's brave. Elliot was an ingenue and found himself as a man, and then came out in front of everybody and made a film out of it. It seems like, validity seeking. But now that I've seen in retrospect and knowing for myself as a human, what kind of fear set has been put upon that person, more power to them. Trust me, if you're disgusted by that kind of stuff, you're more in fear than you should be. It doesn't affect you. And if it does, well, maybe you're thinking in your mind something that you need to reflect on. And that's just it. Fears are played on by a larger system that would have you believe that that fear is rational, instead of recognizing it as a discrepancy in the system, to see your neighbors as the enemy, instead of seeing the enemy who would purchase and sell you your own ideas. And that enemy is a very tiny, slim group of people who owns the majority of everything. And their systems sell you a fight so you don't look at them. And Brett is a great example of this, because not only is she a know-nothing with no experience in life beyond her little tiny closed-off world that, by the way, was private school, and before that it was homeschooling, and she's 21. She can barely drink. She just got to drink. She has little dating experience. She's a pretty girl. She a snowboarder, limited. And now she's in Nashville. So she is completely surrounded by people who will just yes her until she says whatever she wants. This is how you make despots, by the way. It's really concerning because she's attacking something that means nothing to anybody except for someone like her who thinks that this is to be feared, that representation is to be feared because, oh my God, I have to actually see it. Oh, I'm knocking shit over everywhere here. Oh my God, I have to actually see you. Well, yeah, guess what, Brett? It wasn't long ago, nobody saw them at all. And the reason was because bigotry had them not being represented. So you, who's just represented constantly all day long, we've seen enough of you, Brett. Okay? Because she's going to go into that. Just so you know, Brett, you're common. You are the vanilla spiced latte of everything we see on television and in the media. So next time you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, why do we need to see all this? Why do I need to see it? Because you do. You clearly have too thin of a skin and you need to have it pushed in your face a bit so you can get more comfortable with something that's not just not unusual, but it is common to human behavior. You don't want to believe that? That's fine. That's your limitation and lack of knowledge. Don't say it's other people. It's you. You're the only common denominator in the fear cycle here. But I've already said too much.
Da-da-da! Elliot! Everybody knows and loves him, her.
His pronouns are him. And this is the thing is these folks want you to respect what they're saying while they just straight up just disrespect another person, which is always weird to me. Okay, I know there's a lot of touchy-feely. I know there's a lot of ridiculous behavior out there. There's no question taking everything too far. And that's what young people do. And you all will think you're silly ass crazy when you're in the mid-late 30s or my age and you're looking back going like, ooh, I remember my first beer, yeah. But the truth is you got to go to the extreme first. So long as you don't go the Pol Pot route and kill off all your elders, you're okay. Yeah, look it up. Pol Pot. Cambodia. That can happen when we let the young just decide that nobody knows makes anything like me. And a few old people take advantage of the youth's stupidity. And I say stupidity because it's just lack of experience, lack of perspective. And that is ignorance, which equals stupidity. Which is why people hate it when you say that you're ignorant, because they know that what you're saying is, Brett, you're kind of stupid. You're cute. You got that little, Buffy nose.
Elliot has now become like the face of the celebrity transgender movement, and Ellen Elliott is in this ad. And A$AP Rocky.
Life is but a dream. It's what
Go, A$AP. Yo, I want that shirt. I'm not gonna lie. That shirt that Elliot's wearing. Oh, this looks like a party. Hell yeah! Go! Oh,
I literally...
Yeah, you literally know nothing of this. Have you had an O? Do you know how to make that bean do anything other than by yourself? You have no clue what's going on here. You will in a couple of years when you're worth like $10 or $15 million and you've had, access to everything. But until then, you're going to look at this and be like, icky, I don't understand it. You end up there and then, I'm telling you right now. Now, her proclivity might not go that route and your proclivity might not go that route. That's fine, but if you hate people for their differences, you're setting yourself up for a fail. Because that is a mechanism of a system meant to imprison your mind. It's sold to you through the media. It's sold to you through people like her. It's sold to you through people like Andrew Tate, who doesn't even believe the things that he sold. He was using it as a mechanism, as a construct to sell his webcamming and prostitution. Powerful tools of the mind to get you to believe that if you stand with a bunch of other people, that you're more powerful. Meanwhile, you're just guzzling down all the products that have been imprisoning you. And once you poop out the poopy that you've been stuffed with, then you glaze it and make it pretty, bedazzle it, and start throwing it at other people from your prison. Brett, don't bedazzle your poopy.
Don't even know what that is, to be quite honest. It's like they watched Sam Smith's music video for Not Here to Make Friends and they were...
Okay, first off, what's hilarious about this is that this video content that they made is actually a repeat of you were not old enough to know or remember this, okay? Gucci's been doing ads for a little while. Maybe, you think? You think they've been doing things for a little while, do ya? Yeah. Okay, so in the 80s, there was a big run of commercials for all different scents, and they were all in like black and white, and Cindy Crawford was in them, and there was all kinds of sexual innuendo and skin and sweat and metrosexuality. This actual commercial is a remake in color of something that was just two men. It was a man and a woman, and he was in the outfit that Aesop is wearing, and the woman was in the flowery thing. They've added Elliot into the picture and made it full color to represent, representation. You're an idiot and you have no perspective, but you don't know. You don't know. So you're just sitting there smart to yourself. Meanwhile, you don't know. And all the older people who are using you on your broadcast to spew this hatred, essentially, not knowing that you are, because you're mean girling and enjoying yourself and making a lot of money. So there's a lot of yes in your face, just validating your insanity, your gross, icky behavior. Creepy in a lot of ways too, because you're not gonna grow up past this juvenile point, adolescent. We're gonna watch you get to a point of like late 20s and then have this weird, probably, you're gonna break one way or the other. You're either gonna go, and you're gonna be an extreme. You're the kind of girl who will sit there and do, I guarantee you're gonna do something atrocious at some point, Brett. I guarantee it. Because people who believe as much as you do in things that you don't know anything about will commit atrocities, for sure.
Like, yes, slay, make this designer. We want all of that. I mean, like, seriously, it kind of looks the same. The big poofy jackets, the glamour.
Yeah, of course it does to you, because queer culture scares you, and you think it's all one thing. So, of course, you've got to, push one thing on the other. Well, I will say, though, that there is a 1920s, like a Fabergé kind of a design. Sorry, I just smashed you guys. Fabergé kind of an idea here. It's, what is that? Oh, and I'm blanking on the style name. Gosh. It'll come to me tomorrow, like 3 a.m. It'll wake my ass up.
Roaring 20 vibes, like, got all the same stuff. It's got all the weird sexcapades, polygamy, whatever.
It's like if coffee and nightmares.
Oh, the weird sexual. Hear her language. She doesn't feel comfortable with the sexuality, which means she doesn't feel comfortable with herself. And that's the number one thing. When people don't feel comfortable with sexuality, they're literally holding their cards out to you saying, I don't feel comfortable with myself. I don't understand sexuality. I have very little experience. And I was told that anything outside of A plus B is scary. Well, guess what, children? That's a lie. Humans have been doing wild, wacky stuff with their bodies since forever. And if you want to know, the Kama Sutra, yeah, that's about 5,000 years old. People are still learning some of the things that, because they're like, how do you even do that? Then you gotta do a backflip into that? Am I holding the leg in the, are we voguing? Is that what's happening? That's the Kama Sutra for you. So get off your very low seat that you think is high. Go get yourself high, and maybe you'll get a perspective, because you have none. Get something. Go stand on a mountain somewhere. and talk to somebody who is outside of your vein and hear them. And don't respond as if you're looking at vegetables that you don't want to eat. Because that's the response here. It's the response of a child, an adolescent mind. And you've got a platform to 2 million people. What the? We should all be concerned about that stuff. Because now we've got an echo chamber of idiots screaming to idiots. And I'm not, I'm King Idiot. I will tell you right now. Just to own that flag so you can't say shit to me. Because you can't. When it comes right down to it, I have one thing that you don't, which is inside knowledge to say you've been sold a bill of lies. Go ahead and not believe me. It doesn't really matter to me except for the fact that I don't want you to be in a cage. A cage that you're building for yourself, and you got a bucket full of copper-looking poop that you keep flinging at people. Cut it out. Look out. It's a obelisk, and it's got a ben on top, and that ben doesn't care about you. It's just holding itself up there with you and all your hard work and the fight against your neighbor. So you don't pay attention to that ben holding you down. Get it? Got it? Good.
Like, am I wrong? No, I am
No,
not.
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
you-
like
yeah,
less
yeah,
cheap.
no, you- yeah,
because
yeah, no,
it's
yo,
Gucci
no,
and
yeah.
not Sam Smith. And
Yeah, no.
objectively, like
Yeah,
the
you're
ad
wrong.
is beautifully
You are
shot.
so-
It is very.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Shot. It is very cinematic. It's pretty.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's
enjoyed
beautiful.
the
I love it.
shots. You know, without the.
What does that mean? I enjoyed the shot. That's called being patronizing. That's your mom, I bet. I bet your mom does that. I can say, or somebody in your family does that, and you're repeating. Is that your grandma? That's somebody. It's called intimating. Grow up. Pull your cards a little bit further in. We know you're disturbed by anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. You said the mall smells weird in one of your videos. Weird. Super weird. All right.
Was in it, but like objectively, it looks nice. It kind of reminds me of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like the Quentin Tarantino movie, like that kind of energy. And I think we can all agree on that. But it's weird.
That kind of energy? You mean the sexual revolution energy where everybody was everybody? What's wrong with you? Picking and choosing ideas from one thing to the other? If you think cross-dressing and stuff is the thing right now, and transgenderism and sexuality, you have no clue. And I suggest you see the movie Hair, because a good version of the play just won't happen anymore. All the producers are passed, and the original writers are gone, and unfortunately, but I'm telling you, that was some good times when doing that play. Did that many times. Anyway, so go see Hair. You have no clue. You have no clue. You probably don't even know what that is. You're probably like, ew, hippies. Yas, queen.
Like, what the hell is going on inside of it? Somebody commented and said, what in the Queer Lives Matter thruple is this? Because I love it. Somebody else said, so
I kind of do too. I think that's fantastic. I think that showing people that love comes in many different formats, that sexuality is pretty much whatever you want, and to enjoy yourself, that's the key to living. Because there's a whole bunch of people on this planet and a whole bunch of beliefs that would have you miss out on the one life that you have. And promising you, don't worry, leave that all to us. We'll handle all this while you're alive. Just wait until you're dead. You'll get it then. And think about the promise. Think about the promise. At least Muslims have if you give yourself in the service, apparently if you're a man, you get 42 virgins, which by the way, that is a idea. It's not a real. I don't even want to go into that. It is a philosophical, not teaching, but it's an edict, but it's not part of the Quran and by respect for others and pronunciation, just simple, respecting who they are. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them. You can call them an idiot, but you got to have respect for them before you can call them an idiot. Really, you gotta hear what they have to say and go, oh, I see where you get that idea. I see your perspective, but truly, you're missing something. And Brett, in your case, you're a fucking idiot. Wow. Like bold-faced. Can fit your knowledge into a tiny little sliver of fat, like nasal hair, which I have plenty. Oh yeah, you got a good shot of that? What do you say we change it up, huh? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Woo. All right, Brett, you seem real proud of yourself.
Basically, it's a brother with two lesbians. Got it. I mean, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. Somebody else said, bro, ASAP just...
Wait, did she just call Elliot a lesbian?
...with anybody. Another person said, I found it weird.
By the way, that's how old are you? That's, if you're putting that out there, by the way, male or female, grow up. You're that scared of other people and you have that little knowledge of the world? Look, in the very first temple with Rabbi Aaron, he kept a tall statue of Baal in the back in its own room. Who's Baal? Oh, just the hermaphroditic god that the majority of humans were worshiping before Yahweh? Monotheism? Yeah. And most of the ancient gods were hermaphrodites. 1 out of 8 people is a hermaphrodite. 1 out of 6 people has chemical hermaphroditia, meaning that they don't even know, in most cases, that they may have more chemicals of the other gender than the one that they identify with, or they have the feeling that they wish to identify as another gender. So if you didn't know that, you should get yourself educated. Look up. Seriously.
Just weird. That's my main reaction was I
Now,
just
what's
didn't
weird?
understand.
What's weird is that a 21-year-old with these kind of limited ideas and concepts of the world has a show who's talking to 2 million people, and that 2 million people are taking you seriously. Now, are these kids? We don't know. All I know is that this is a sales tactic to sell a bunch of people under the ship and to start divisiveness and to get people to fight amongst their tribes. And I ain't having it. I'm here to bring the sledgehammer on in and go, booyah! We're gonna take you, yeehaw! We're gonna take you out of your prison. Come on along, folks. I'm not gonna let you sit in there and throw some more poopy at your neighbors. Nay, I say. Don't want to take me seriously? That's fine. That's on you. The reality is, if I'm not silly, the people that you should be scared of would take me seriously. And that's why I say, sometimes you gotta have a little perspective, dearie. A sense of yourself, and more than just what meets the eye. Because you too can pull the wool right on over your own eyes.
But like, here's the thing. Fashion brands
What things?
have always been edgy. They're always being weird. They're always pushing boundaries. So I'm not...
Yes. Yes. Fashion brands have always been pushing boundaries because that community is made up from way back of a lot of people who are queer. LGBTQ+. People who identify in all different ways, men who cross-dress. And that's okay. Not just okay, that's fabulous, because that means the world and life is diverse. And the more diversity we have, the more interesting life is. What, you don't want life to be interesting? You want everybody to be homogenous just like you? Don't be homogenous just like you. Be yourself just like you.
Surprised by this, but this was so clearly a virtue signaling ad. Putting Ellen Elliott Page front and center.
Virtue signaling. Yeah. Virtue signaling. For someone who looks so super creepy. Virtue signaling. That's the person who's sitting on their show talking about a group of people you don't even have in your friend group. You don't know anybody, most likely, in the LGBTQ experience. Because of the way you talk about it, like it's some vegetable I don't want to eat. you are an adult woman now. You're buying a home, which, by the way, is, 21 and buying a home. She is literally part of the 1% of the 1%, telling everybody else how the world should be because she's in an echo chamber. And it's proof you don't have to be that smart or have much perspective to make a lot of money. In fact, most of the time, when you don't have a lot of perspective and aren't very smart, it's easier to make a lot of money because you don't have the ethic or morality to know any better that you're hoarding. And then, once you do enough of that, you've just been validated. Yeah. You live in a validation. You live in an echo chamber of validation telling you every day that your crazy, limited ideas are okay because you're being paid a lot of money. Meanwhile, they don't apply to the majority of the world, to the majority of life. And I'm saying this to you too. Because if you limit yourself to other people's ideas out of fear, what are you really doing but locking yourself away? And what? In the prison, in the mental prison. And all that mental prison builds is a huge pillar that holds up a pyramid at the top. And you're like, Aaron, you keep talking about this Ban and the obelisk. Yeah, that's real. It's called the construct. It's made up of about as many people as you can fit in an average hotel ballroom. And these people own you and I outright. But we'll get to that at another time. How we're affected by them, who they are, that's just something I'm building right now for you. And we're going to break that open. We can't do it all at once. First, I have to show you the systems. And that's what I've been trying to talk about. And these systems, well, they'll just put you in bondage. They'll put you in chains. They'll have you believing some insanity instead of seeing yourself as free and seeing yourself as worthy and seeing yourself as more than just a throwaway idea, which you are not. You are a powerful being who can shape the universe at will because protons interact with our observations. Now you get a couple people together who feel the same way and you all focus your ideas and the world, well, guess what? The universe, it changes. So take my hand, kids. Grab the sledgehammer with me. Let's break down these walls and keep freeing people from these mental prisons. When you see this bedazzled poop get thrown, bring the umbrella, spray them down with a little cool water, open that cage up that wasn't locked in the first place. We can free people from watching this insanity. Get your mind open, kids. Look up.
The sex object making ASAP Rocky hanging all over her? Like, are you kidding me? There's a reason for that. That was very, very intentional.
Yes, they're selling sex. Are you new to planet Earth? Oh, yes, you are. You've only been alive since the 2000s. Holy mackerel. By the way, sex sells everything. Everything. It's the easiest, lowest hanging fruit to get you to look. Because everybody likes sex. Everybody wants sex. It's the base human thing. So yes, and inclusion in sexuality is something that we didn't see very long ago. So it's important to have people see themselves so that they purchase these items. And those people purchasing the items, trust me, this isn't accidental. They're not pushing an agenda like you would believe. They're actually just making commercials for people that are actually buying their products. I know you don't understand that, or you do and you're just being cynical, but I don't think you do. I don't think you have the perspective, and at some point you're going to feel really embarrassed, but I don't think we'll ever hear that. No. I think this one is going to end up self-loathing and just projecting and getting angrier and angrier. Now, by the way, don't mistake my anger about the prison as some kind of pessimism. Nah, because I know there's more of us than there are of them. And by them, I mean the pessimists, the ones who would hoard and take Because they don't believe that you and I are equal to them, that they're special because they already have. Just like this one. She believes she's exceptional because she's being paid to yammer on. I wonder if she realized she was hired because Ben Shapiro probably couldn't hire his sister. Did they measure, I was thinking, did I ever say this? Did they measure the eyebrows? Creepy.
Playing into one audience, they are playing into the Ellen Elliott fan base. You get what I'm saying? It's not about the fragrance, it's about the thruple, and it's about Ellen.
Yes, it's about both, dummy. And I say dummy because you know this, right? You know that the fragrance, it's not about the, when have you seen a commercial that was about the item or product, unless it was like Febreze? What planet? Welcome to planet Earth. Have you been around for a minute? No, clearly not. How do you have a show? Oh, your show is like watching, it's like watching the newborn colt. And you're like, oh, isn't that cute? Bless. But oh, this colt is kind of special, if you know what I mean. Tripping around. It's going to be tripping around on itself for a while. Oh, bless. Imagine, can you imagine how solipsistic she must be? How self-absorbed she must be? She probably doesn't have many friends because she can't imagine anybody being able to match with her. And the ones she does have are probably famous and aren't actually her friends, they're acquaintances. I know lots of people like this, by the way. And they make themselves believe some pretty amazing things with mental backflips. Yet meanwhile, they ignore the fact that they're selling fear. Pretty crazy.
The page.
Don't make me tap the sign.
And people know. Somebody said the bisexual agenda is my favorite one. It's so clear.
Yeah, it is. You're so projecting your fears and your interests because you're young. You haven't had any real life experiences yet. And so this really piques your interest. So you've got to go in it because it both freaks you out and it titillates you. And you know your audience is titillated too. Free your sex, folks. Free your mind. Free your body. If you have a religious belief that's telling you, oh, this is dangerous, you'll undermine that. Stop. We got lots of human history that just says, no, that's not true. Really, truly. 1,600 years. On and off. That's it. Out of several 100,000 of civilization. Now, you can believe whatever you want, but we know now that civilization goes back several 100,000 years. The Mayan calendar alone's mathematics suggests that the word of mouth side would have taken 330,000 years to pass on and interpret into a written and develop a written language, which must have taken, by the math and the extrapolation, over 70,000 years. So stop yourself when you're like, oh, this is new. Yeah, you're new.
Them, Everybody's Least Hero publication, wrote an article and said, Elliot Page's Gucci thruple ad is the representation hot, messy queers need. He starred in the ad alongside A$AP Rocky and Julia Gardner. Like, no, it's not what anybody needs. I don't know.
Shush. I kind of needed that. That was awesome. I think it's sexy. What? Sexy is sexy. And it was well filmed. It was very nice. And it's an interesting thing. I would go smell the cologne because I'm thinking to myself, wow, this kind of, are they saying it's for everybody? Oh yeah, they're saying it's for everybody. And it's sexy and everybody's going to want to have sex with you if you wear it. Everybody! You understand that? Everybody's going to want to have sex if you wear this. That is a great ad. So, yeah. We did need this. We did need this because people aren't having sex, Brett. I don't think you're having sex. You can tell by your shoulders.
I want to know, but what signifies a hot, messy queer? Don't answer that. I don't.
Yeah, you do. You asked the question. That's called projection, little girl. Those of us who are adults know what's actually going on. You want to know what's hot and messy because I guarantee you the only time you were hot and messy is when that frat guy got up off you. Anyways, I'm sorry. Am I going down the wrong? That's rude. That's just rude. Who throws a cupcake? I do, kids, because I don't give a flying flip about these people. Okay? They're strangers on the internet, just like you. And what I care about is what they're selling and how it affects you and how it degrades us as people and takes us to a place where we don't have to be there. We don't have to feel this way. You don't have to feel like somebody isn't going to love you because this know nothing, with no life experience, somehow has a show. Well, this is what I'm pointing out. The people who can afford to give her a show and pay her millions of dollars to keep her ranting about things she doesn't know, they would have you buy this concept and feel bad about yourself because of this concept, because it sells products. That's just how it is. And if you don't know that, you can't look past it, because they'll have you pull the wool right over your own eyes. Right on up in them. So keep strong, my friends. Carry on. Carry that sledgehammer with you and break down the prison walls that you built for yourself, because somebody sold them to you and said, this is the only way you're going to get by in life. And that's not true, because there's more of us than there are of them. And we start lighting this fire, it's going to become a massive blaze. And we're going to take it all the way to their shore on their private island. And we will remove the hoarding of the conceptual ideas that they have above us. And we will be free of the concepts that constrain us. We will move forward. And it won't be a one world government. It'll be you and I working with our neighbors, whom we see as equal and human and like, no matter of your background and belief and differences. Because we want to be a strong humanity. And we see that there is a tiny amount of people who would take advantage of each and every one of our little flaws. Just like this person has been taken advantage for her flaws, and she would see it as validation.
Want to know. The article said, we know it's a far-off fantasy, but we can't help but yearn for the future feature-length version of this tantalizing minute-long short.
Okay. I love that she picks out, like, the advertisement for the advertisement. She's not telling you that, but this was written by the writer who wrote the video. So, yeah. She just glazed over that very quickly. So, the wording as well is, I would gather this person's probably queer, so he's a little, flamboyant. And that's, hey, you know what? Interesting people are flamboyant.
Thought the Gucci would give us the messy queer representation we needed. Why do you need that? Like, seriously, this desperate need for representation.
Wait, did she just say, why do you need that? What do you mean, why do you need that? There was no representation before a couple of years ago. You don't remember this because you're too young and you have no perspective, which makes you a bigot and you don't realize it. You think you're being fair. No, you're just being mean girl, like a junior high school student. Why is it needed? Because the public acted like these people didn't exist. Because the public acted like the LGBTQ community was somebody to be hidden and shunned. Because people abuse people they don't see. Just like it's happening to the men of the United States of America, that 63% of them are either sexless or not in a relationship, as opposed to 34% of the women. It says something. It also says that 26% of the women are dating the same guys in a pool of 8. 26 to the 8th power. That's incredible. Meanwhile, there's so much more choice and opportunity, but the reason that people are believing these things is because of someone like this funneling everybody into tiny little veins and tiny little areas so that they can just reap the rewards of that limited little cattle drive. That's all it is blinders to keep you in your lane so that you can be brought to slaughter in one way or the other. And that slaughter is just selling you another car or an idea. What can I say? You want to buy into that? That's on you. I'm not going to stand here and be silent and be like, yeah, well, we can't do anything. No, because there's more of us than there are of them. And we should not stay silent for our neighbors or for ourselves. Humanity needs us to take these folks and bury them in the history annals as a long forgotten memory, just like we did before. Because, by the way, this has happened before, except we didn't have social media, so it was on cable. Don't be fooled, kids. This is just one more attempt, one last dying gasp of the extreme right trying to anger everybody so we'll fight. And just remember, when there's blood in the streets, the real estate is cheap.
In every form of media, get over yourself. Media,
Okay,
entertainment,
hold on a second.
that's not new. This is what every ad looks like. Like, why do you think you're so special?
Yeah, Brett.
That's not how...
Why do you think you're so special? You have no background or experience. You're 21 years old. What have you done that makes you special? You were an actress? You look like Ben's sister? I'm so confused by all of this. What got her this platform? She passed an audition. She's an actress, folks. She said the casting agent said that, I didn't even, or the producer, I didn't even realize you looked exactly, yeah, you do look like Ben. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were like, oh, female Ben, without the annoying voice. All right. Look, the reason that people like this exist is to sell an idea of exceptionalism that doesn't exist. It's not real. It's a con. So you can go ahead and pull the wool over your eyes, but all you're going to be doing is putting yourself in a prison. And if you find yourself arguing over ideas that don't seem to be your own, that you're feeling angry and anxious because the world seems so much harder than it needs to be, you might be buying into this construct. And I'm sorry that that's happening to you. But I'm telling you right now that we don't have to listen to these people. You can feel yourself. You can go out and be free, and you can turn off the phone. You can turn off the YouTube. You can turn off these ideas, because that's all they are. Smell the air outside and find yourself. Go for a new experience. Try something you haven't tried. Find a new group of friends. Look, none of this is easy. Nobody ever said it is. But as long as you know it's not easy, you can get past the hurdles. That's part of the wonderful wonder of life. The stretching, the growing, the furthering of oneself in experience and adding to the experience, because you only have one sentient experience. Don't wait for something that might not happen later, because you're just going to repeat this anyways. I urge you to see this person for who they are, as a lack of experience and a goofball who's given way too much to validate their goofball ideas, who would sell you down a river of self-hatred and hatred of others and otherism, just simply to sell a few more cars. When really, folks, the most important thing is, look up!